The story begins before stories were possible, before atoms, before light, before memory. There was only the silent potential of everything that would ever exist, condensed into a single trembling moment. Then, from that infinite stillness, a whisper broke the void. Not a sound, but a rhythm, a pulse that rippled outward, sculpting the first patterns of energy. In that instant, chaos found its first taste of order, and the universe began to speak. The camera drifts through the newborn cosmos, where glowing filaments stretch like veins of molten glass, binding galaxies yet unborn. Hydrogen and helium swirl in silent storms, colliding, merging, igniting. From within this cosmic furnace, matter begins to dance to an invisible beat. There is no hand conducting it, yet everything moves with strange precision, as though responding to a secret command written deep in space itself. Mathematics, though yet unnamed, already reigns here. Ratios and symmetries emerge naturally, not by intention but by necessity. Stars form in spirals, gas clouds collapse in fractal cascades, and subatomic particles arrange themselves in repeating, predictable ways. The first laws of physics do not appear by accident. They unfold as though following a pre-written code. Gravity whispers one rule, entropy another, and light obeys both. It is as if the universe is composing itself, line by line, number by number. The narrator's voice cuts through the infinite dark, soft but precise. If the cosmos has a language, who or what is it speaking to? Is this harmony merely coincidence, or the echo of an intelligence too vast to name? The question lingers, unanswered, as the screen fills with constellations blooming like frozen fire. Centuries later, humans would look up at these same constellations and search for meaning. They would draw lines between stars, tell stories about gods and monsters, and map the heavens into patterns of mythology. But the truth hidden in those pinpricks of light was far stranger. Every star, every planet, every breath of wind on Earth was a syllable in a language older than time. We are written into it, every molecule in our bodies arranged according to the same grammar that shapes galaxies. The narrative slows, shifting from cosmic scale to human awe. A child stands beneath the night sky, staring upward, unaware that the starlight reaching their eyes began its journey before human civilization even existed. Within that light lies information, not metaphorical but literal, data carried by photons across the abyss. Each photon encodes the memory of a distant sun, a trace of the universe's first words. Science, philosophy, and art have all tried to interpret this cosmic script. Physicists call it the language of mathematics. Poets call it the rhythm of being. Philosophers call it the logic of existence. Whatever the name, it binds all things: the rotation of galaxies and the flicker of neurons, the curvature of spacetime and the growth of a seashell. Somewhere between number and meaning lies the origin of reality itself. The pace quickens again. Equations shimmer faintly over images of galaxies and atoms, superimposed like subtitles of the cosmos. Einstein's field equations flow into Fibonacci spirals, which dissolve into DNA strands. The viewer feels a growing realization: all these shapes are connected. The same ratios that govern the arms of a spiral galaxy also dictate the swirl of a hurricane and the structure of a sunflower. Nature repeats itself with eerie precision, as though reciting a hidden verse. But beneath the beauty lies an unsettling question. If the universe follows laws, who wrote them? Are these laws mere descriptions of behavior, or are they commands woven into the fabric of existence? The narrator pauses. Perhaps the answer does not lie in who, but in what. Perhaps the language of the universe is not meant to be spoken, only understood. The final images of the section draw us deeper into mystery. A single photon travels through endless black, striking a sensor on Earth. The impact becomes data, the data becomes meaning, and meaning becomes wonder. The viewer senses that the cosmos is not random. It is deliberate, structured, alive with hidden syntax. Somewhere between silence and sound, between chaos and symmetry, the first whisper of order continues to echo, a reminder that reality itself may be a sentence still being written. In the beginning, form was an accident, or so it seemed. Clouds of hydrogen drifted aimlessly through an ocean of darkness, drawn together only by the faint tug of gravity. But as the universe expanded and cooled, something remarkable happened. Chaos began to take shape. Out of the formless void, geometry was born. Invisible structures, spirals, hexagons, lattices, began to govern the movement of matter. The cosmos was sketching its first blueprints, not with ink or intention, but through the quiet laws of mathematics that had existed since the first second of time. Galaxies swirled into elegant spirals, each one obeying the golden ratio, their arms tracing invisible paths that mirrored seashells and whirlpools. Nebulae stretched into symmetrical wings, echoing the bilateral balance found later in plants, insects, and even human faces. It was as though nature itself preferred beauty, a preference encoded in the very physics of creation. These patterns were not random. They were inevitable, the natural consequence of how energy seeks equilibrium, how chaos evolves toward structure. The camera drifts across a cosmic web of filaments, immense threads of galaxies connected by vast voids, forming what scientists now call the large-scale structure of the universe. When seen from billions of light-years away, this colossal network resembles the neurons of a living brain. Matter, it seems, arranges itself according to hidden geometrical rules, from the cosmic to the cellular. The narrator's voice returns, slow and deliberate. Why does the universe favor symmetry? Why does beauty repeat itself across every scale of existence? The answer, perhaps, lies in the mathematics beneath all creation. Every star, every snowflake, every atom follows the same simple equations: repetition, proportion, and balance. These equations are not invented. They are discovered, waiting like fossils buried in the structure of space itself. The universe does not need to try to be ordered, it simply is. Order is its default language, its grammar. What we call chaos is only a dialect we have yet to understand. Ancient civilizations glimpsed fragments of this truth long before modern science. The Egyptians aligned pyramids with the stars, encoding cosmic geometry in stone. The Greeks believed that beauty and harmony were mathematical, that numbers contained the secret of form. Pythagoras spoke of the music of the spheres, a harmony produced by the motion of celestial bodies. Though they lacked telescopes or equations, they sensed the same symmetry that modern cosmologists now map with satellites and data. Across millennia, humanity has always been haunted by the same intuition, that the world is not arbitrary but deliberate. Cut to a microscopic world: frost crystals forming on glass, veins branching through a leaf, the spiral of a snail's shell. The narrator connects these scenes with calm precision. Each form, though vastly different in size and substance, follows identical ratios. This is the geometry of growth. Whether sculpting galaxies or coral reefs, the same mathematical rules dictate how complexity unfolds. Patterns that appear alive are written into the bones of matter itself. Then the story takes a darker turn. For every symmetry there exists a fracture. The same geometry that builds also destroys. Stars collapse inward to form black holes. Perfect spheres where geometry breaks down, where equations lose meaning. The balance that sustains existence also allows it to end. The narrator's tone deepens. The same laws that carve spirals and galaxies also carve fractures in spacetime. The universe writes beauty and chaos with the same hand. In this realization lies the first hint of the cosmic paradox. Perfection does not exist without imperfection. Symmetry alone would be sterile, lifeless. The slight asymmetry in the early universe, a fraction of imbalance between matter and antimatter, made existence possible. Without that flaw, every atom would have annihilated itself into light, leaving only emptiness. The geometry of creation, then, is not pure order but a fragile tension between balance and deviation. Mathematicians and physicists today describe this hidden architecture through fractals and equations, Mandelbrot sets, non-Euclidean geometry, and quantum fields. But beneath the technical language lies something deeply human: awe. For every equation that describes the spiral of a galaxy also describes the pattern of blood vessels in a human heart. This revelation blurs the boundary between the cosmic and the intimate. We are not observers of geometry, we are expressions of it. The shapes written into the stars are written into us. The camera fades into an aerial shot of Earth, rivers branching like lightning, mountains curving like ancient waves. The planet itself breathes in geometry. From the orbit of moons to the shape of a human hand, form is the signature of the universe's hidden logic. Everything that exists is the result of a quiet negotiation between force and resistance, energy and space, chaos and symmetry. As the music swells, the narrator whispers the closing thought: geometry is not a product of nature, it is nature. It is the skeleton beneath existence, the framework of reality's voice. The universe is not merely made of matter and energy, it is made of proportion, pattern, and rhythm, the silent geometry that builds everything from the curve of a wave to the arc of a galaxy. And within this architecture lies a question too vast to ignore. If the universe has drawn itself in perfect form, then what, or who, taught it how to draw? At first glance, chaos seems like the enemy of order, a storm against the calm, a scream against the silence. But what if chaos is not a force of destruction, but a kind of hidden music? What if beneath the turbulence of storms, galaxies, and human hearts, there lies a pulse, faint but constant, guiding the motion of everything that exists? The story of chaos is not one of randomness. It is the story of rhythm disguised as disorder. The closer we look, the more we realize that chaos too follows rules. It is not the absence of pattern, it is pattern beyond prediction. The camera opens on a storm over the Pacific Ocean. From far above, the swirling mass of clouds looks wild, shapeless, alive. Yet as the shot tightens, a spiral emerges, perfect and repeating, the same geometry that sculpts galaxies. Lightning branches across the sky in fractal lines, each flash unique, yet governed by mathematical precision. The narrator's voice cuts through the thunder. This is the pulse beneath chaos, the invisible rhythm that beats at the heart of creation. For centuries, humanity feared chaos. To ancient minds, disorder meant punishment, the collapse of divine order. Even science resisted it. Newton's clockwork universe had no room for unpredictability. Every cause had its effect, every action a precise consequence. But nature refused to fit inside that clock. It defied prediction. A single gust of wind, a shift in temperature, the movement of a butterfly's wings, any of these could change the course of a storm, a season, even history. Then came the revelation. In the 20th century, scientists began to see that within chaos lay a strange kind of order. Edward Lorenz, studying weather patterns, discovered that even small variations in starting conditions could lead to drastically different outcomes, a phenomenon now known as the butterfly effect. His computer models, intended to forecast weather, began drawing beautiful looping figures, patterns that never repeated, yet never dissolved into true randomness. These were strange attractors, the fingerprints of chaos itself. The scene shifts to a dark laboratory, the glow of Lorenz's early computer flickering across his face. The machine prints graphs like tangled vines, endlessly twisting but always staying within invisible boundaries. The narrator explains, chaos was not a breakdown of order, it was a deeper kind of order, one too complex for the human mind to fully see. Suddenly, nature's unpredictability was not meaningless. It was purposeful. The erratic beating of a heart, the flicker of a flame, the rise and fall of ecosystems, all followed this mysterious choreography. As the music swells, the film cuts between imagery. Ocean waves colliding, flocks of birds shifting direction mid-flight, neurons firing in the human brain. Each seems random until slowed down and studied. Then the rhythm emerges, repetition without exactness, freedom within boundary. Chaos is creativity. It is the space where the universe experiments. Zoom in closer, and the same principle appears inside the smallest systems imaginable. Quantum particles flicker in and out of existence, following probabilities rather than paths. Their behavior seems erratic, yet across billions of interactions they form predictable patterns. Chaos at one scale becomes structure at another. The universe is not disordered, it is recursive, looping patterns of energy, endlessly echoing through different forms. The narrator's tone deepens as the visual shifts from the microscopic to the cosmic. Galaxies collide in slow motion, their stars scattering into intricate webs. Within that chaos, new worlds are born. The destruction of one system becomes the foundation of another. This is the paradox of existence. Creation and chaos are inseparable. Without chaos, there is no evolution, no adaptation, no life. The same turbulence that destroys also shapes, refines, and transforms. To understand this, we must abandon the comfort of linear thinking. Chaos operates like music without a melody, complex, layered, and constantly shifting. Each note may seem unpredictable, but the entire composition obeys unseen rules of harmony. The narrator poses a quiet question. If the universe is a song, who hears it? And if chaos is rhythm, what keeps it from falling apart? The answer lies in feedback, the conversation between order and disorder. Systems across nature, weather, ecosystems, economies, even human thought, evolve through feedback loops. They sense change, react, and stabilize, never truly at rest. These loops are what make chaos self-regulating. The universe, it seems, is not moving toward destruction, but toward balance through constant fluctuation. Cut to slow-motion footage of a candle flame flickering in the dark. Each movement seems random, yet no flicker escapes the flame's core. Chaos remains tethered, bound by invisible laws. The narrator whispers, chaos is freedom contained by necessity, a wild dance within a perfect cage. But this revelation carries a deeper implication. If chaos is structured, then randomness may not exist at all. What we call chance may only be complexity beyond comprehension. Every storm, every heartbeat, every coincidence could be an expression of an equation too vast for the human mind to perceive. The universe might be deterministic not in the mechanical sense, but in a poetic one, a self-writing poem whose words can never be read in full. The tone shifts toward introspection. The camera moves through scenes of human life, crowds moving through a city, traffic patterns at night, data streams flowing across screens. Even here, the same rhythms emerge. The spread of information, the rise and fall of civilizations, the fluctuations of emotion, all mirror the pulse beneath chaos. Our minds, our societies, even our dreams follow the same dynamic laws that guide storms and stars. And yet, there is beauty in this unpredictability. Without chaos, existence would be static, lifeless, predictable. The chaos within us, our thoughts, our passions, our flaws, is the same force that drives the universe to create galaxies and life itself. The narrator reflects softly, perhaps chaos is not a flaw in the design. Perhaps it is the design, the way the universe stays alive. The final image lingers on a drop of water falling into a still pond. Ripples expand outward, colliding, overlapping, forming interference patterns that seem random but repeat in delicate harmony. The surface trembles, then settles, only to be disturbed again. The cycle never ends. The narrator concludes, every moment of stillness hides a pulse. Every silence conceals a rhythm. The universe breathes through chaos, a heartbeat no equation can fully describe. Long before telescopes, long before equations, there were eyes turned upward in wonder. The night sky was a riddle, and the ancients were the first to listen for its answer. Across deserts, temples, and oceans, they searched not only for survival but for meaning. The stars seemed alive, scattered symbols written by an unseen hand. The universe, they believed, was not mute. It spoke through pattern, proportion, and rhythm. To understand its voice, they measured the heavens, built monuments to its geometry, and in doing so became the first translators of the cosmos. In the flicker of oil lamps and under endless skies, early astronomer priests charted constellations, tracked solstices, and watched the moon's patient return. To them this was not cold calculation, it was worship. The Egyptians saw divine symmetry in the pyramid's angles, aligning them perfectly with Orion's belt. The Babylonians recorded eclipses and planetary movements, believing these patterns were messages from the gods. For them, numbers were not abstract tools, they were sacred keys. The language of the divine was numerical, and through it humanity could speak back to creation. But it was in Greece that the search for cosmic order took its most poetic and disciplined form. Pythagoras, the philosopher-mystic, declared that all is number. He believed the harmony of the universe was a kind of music, inaudible yet eternal, where planets and stars moved according to mathematical ratios like notes on a celestial scale. To him, beauty was not subjective, it was proof of truth. Harmony was the fingerprint of the divine. The Pythagoreans listened not with ears, but with reason, and found melody in the motion of the spheres. Plato expanded this vision, describing a universe built from perfect forms, geometry as the scaffolding of existence. To understand the cosmos, one must understand the shapes that define it: the sphere, the cube, the tetrahedron. His world of forms became both a philosophical ideal and a scientific hypothesis. The very atoms, he suggested, might be miniature versions of these shapes, triangles, squares, and circles composing the matter of reality. Though centuries away from modern physics, his intuition foreshadowed the geometric elegance that would later describe everything from molecules to spacetime. Meanwhile, across the sands of Persia and the libraries of Baghdad, scholars like Al-Khwarizmi and Ibn al-Haytham continued the ancient pursuit. They refined algebra, optics, and celestial mapping, carrying the torch of Greek thought through the Islamic Golden Age. To them, mathematics was not merely a science, it was a philosophy, a means of glimpsing divine architecture. They saw in equations not human invention but revelation. The universe was a book and numbers were its letters. Cut to a slow pan across the ruins of an ancient observatory, massive stones carved with precision, aligned perfectly with solstices. The narrator's voice deepens. These were not merely monuments of stone. They were instruments, tools built to measure the heartbeat of the universe. The ancients had no computers, no telescopes, and yet they discerned cycles that modern astronomers confirm today. Through repetition and observation, they uncovered the patterns that govern the movement of the heavens, proof that the sky was not chaos but code. Even the myths they told reflected this intuition. The Egyptian god Thoth was said to have invented numbers, writing, and the measurement of time, gifts that bridged the mortal and the divine. The Mayans wove their calendar into prophecy, believing time itself was cyclical, repeating in sacred geometry. The Chinese spoke of the Tao, the unspoken harmony that connects all things, where opposites like yin and yang form balance through motion. Every culture, though divided by distance and language, heard the same whisper in different ways. The universe is patterned and we are part of that pattern. The film cuts to an image of a Pythagorean monochord, a single string stretched between two pegs. When plucked, it vibrates in simple ratios, halves, thirds, fourths. These ratios produce harmony, and when measured, they form the same mathematical relationships that describe orbits, waves, and light. The narrator speaks softly. From the hum of a string to the spin of a galaxy, the same ratios repeat. The universe hums with proportion. As centuries passed, the tools of exploration evolved, but the hunger for meaning remained unchanged. Medieval scholars preserved the mathematical works of the ancients, translating them into languages that would ignite the Renaissance. Then came Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, inheritors of the same cosmic curiosity. Kepler, inspired by Pythagoras, sought musical harmony in planetary motion. When he discovered that planets move in ellipses, not circles, he felt he had uncovered not just a law of physics, but a song, a divine adjustment to the universe's rhythm. But this harmony came at a cost. To see the universe as number and proportion was to dethrone myth. The gods became equations and the sacred turned mechanical. Still, even in this shift, a kind of reverence remained. Newton, whose laws defined motion and gravity, wrote more about theology than physics. He believed that the mathematical order of the universe was evidence of a rational creator. To him, God was not separate from geometry. God was geometry, expressing itself through motion. The narrator's tone grows reflective. They sought to measure the infinite, and in doing so, they redefined what it meant to be human. The ancients saw themselves as participants in a cosmic design. Modern science turned them into observers of it. Yet across both eras, the impulse is the same, to find meaning in pattern, to hear the music beneath the noise. The universe has always spoken through numbers, only our interpretation has changed. The section closes with a sequence of visual parallels, pyramids aligned with stars, Greek temples echoing the ratios of musical harmony, Islamic mosaics blooming with geometric perfection. The narrator whispers the final thought. The first dreamers measured the infinite with nothing but shadow and stone. They did not yet know the language of the universe, but they had already begun to listen. Their legacy endures not in their myths but in their method, the belief that behind the vastness lies a logic, and that to measure is to commune with the divine. The ancient dreamers did not invent mathematics. They discovered that it was already there, woven into the stars themselves. And in that discovery they left humanity its oldest question, the same one that still guides every scientist and philosopher today. If the universe is written in the language of numbers, then who taught us to understand it? The universe is not silent. It sings, though we hear it only in fragments, in the vibration of strings, the hum of planets, the pulse of atoms. From the moment matter first clumped together in the early cosmos, everything has moved in resonance. Every orbit, every oscillation, every ripple in space-time carries a frequency, a hidden music underlying reality itself. Some of it is subtle, imperceptible to the human senses, yet its influence shapes everything from the spin of electrons to the dance of galaxies. The question emerges, could it be that sound, vibration, and frequency are not mere phenomena, but the very language of existence? The scene opens with the gentle hum of a neutron star. Its light pulses with clockwork precision, each beat a note in a cosmic symphony. Imagine standing on a distant moon, gazing at a galaxy spinning in silence, yet every movement, every swirl corresponds to a vibration, a note, a rhythm, a wave. The narrator's voice is soft but insistent. If the universe speaks, it does so in resonance. Everything vibrates. Everything sings. This music of reality is not metaphor alone. Physics confirms it. Light, sound, and matter are all waves, oscillations and fields that permeate space. Atoms resonate, molecules oscillate, and DNA coils and spirals that echo the harmonic ratios found in planetary orbits. Even the space between stars is filled with vibrations, gravitational waves, minute ripples that traverse the cosmos at the speed of light. These waves carry information, subtle signatures of events billions of years ago, encoding the story of creation in pure frequency. To understand this, we turn to string theory, a framework suggesting that the fundamental building blocks of the universe are not point particles, but tiny vibrating strings. Each string resonates at its own frequency, and the patterns of these vibrations determine the particle's properties: mass, charge, and spin. Reality itself, according to this theory, is the music of strings, a symphony of dimensions we cannot directly perceive. The camera glides through a digital visualization, strings vibrating in unseen dimensions, colors shifting with frequency, patterns forming and dissolving like an intricate dance. The narrative then moves to the more tangible echoes of vibration. Consider sound and resonance on Earth. The ringing of a crystal, the vibration of a drum, the harmonic tuning of a violin. These phenomena are microcosms of a universal principle. Resonance amplifies energy, reinforces patterns, and creates coherence from chaos. The same principle governs planetary systems, the formation of spiral galaxies, and even the neural oscillations in our brains. Music, in this sense, is not merely art, it is physics manifesting in a form we can feel. Cut to the planetary scale. Each celestial body has a frequency, a tone dictated by its orbit and rotation. Kepler first glimpsed this centuries ago in his celestial harmonies, noting that planets move according to ratios that mirror musical intervals. Saturn's rings, the narrator explains, resonate in precise patterns. Gravitational forces create waves that sing across the void. The universe is a grand instrument, each body a string or drumhead contributing to an intricate cosmic melody. Even life itself is orchestrated by vibration. Proteins fold according to resonant frequencies. Cellular processes oscillate in rhythmic cycles. Neurons fire in synchrony, generating waves that enable thought and perception. The human body is a symphony, attuned to the vibrations of its environment. We are both listeners and performers, simultaneously shaped by and contributing to the universal music. Yet this harmony is punctuated by dissonance. Black holes, supernovae, and quantum fluctuations create vibrations so extreme that they distort spacetime itself. These cosmic notes are unpredictable, chaotic, even violent, yet they are part of the greater composition. They remind us that music is not merely beauty, it is also a force of creation and destruction, shaping reality in ways that transcend human comprehension. The narrator then draws a bridge between science and philosophy. For centuries, thinkers have likened reality to music. The Pythagoreans spoke of the harmony of the spheres. Plato imagined geometry and sound intertwined in the order of the cosmos. Goethe and Schopenhauer called music a direct manifestation of nature's essence. Today, physics reveals that these poetic intuitions were not metaphor alone. The vibrations of reality exist, measurable in frequencies, wavelengths, and oscillations that define the very substance of existence. The section slows to a reflective cadence. Imagine standing in a cathedral of the cosmos, listening to the subtle hum of spacetime, feeling the pulse of atoms and planets alike. Every vibration is a word, every resonance a phrase, every pattern a sentence in a language older than time. The narrator whispers, the universe does not only move, it communicates. It speaks through sound, through vibration, through resonance. To listen is to begin to understand. The camera transitions to human experience. Musical instruments, speech, and song. What we call music may be an echo, a reflection of the universal frequency. The mind resonates with these vibrations, unlocking emotion, memory, and understanding. Perhaps this is why music moves us so deeply. It mirrors the patterns that structure reality itself, connecting us to the very pulse of existence. Finally, the section expands to the mystical and speculative. Could consciousness itself arise from resonance? Some theorists suggest that synchronized vibrations in neural networks give rise to perception, awareness, and thought. If so, then music and mathematics, physics and consciousness, are all threads of the same vibrational tapestry. The universe is a symphony in which we are both audience and performer, bound to the rhythm of existence. As the section draws to a close, the visuals span scales, from the microscopic vibrations of molecules to the spiraling motion of galaxies. The narrator leaves the viewer with a sense of awe and mystery. Every atom sings, every star resonates, every thought oscillates. The music of reality is endless, intricate, and eternal. To hear it is to glimpse the secret language of the universe. The universe speaks in patterns, yet many of these patterns are invisible to the naked eye. They do not reveal themselves in obvious forms, like the curve of a galaxy or the spiral of a shell. Instead, they are woven into the fabric of existence, microscopic, subtle, and endlessly repeating. At every scale, from atoms to ecosystems, nature favors recurrence. These hidden patterns are not decoration, they are the grammar of reality, the syntax that organizes energy and matter into coherent, living structures. To see them is to glimpse the underlying language of the cosmos. The journey begins at the smallest scales. Atoms vibrate in precise ways, their electrons orbiting nuclei with astonishing regularity. Protons and neutrons, though seemingly chaotic in their interactions, arrange themselves according to strict quantum rules. Each interaction produces waves, interference patterns, and resonances that echo across the molecular landscape. These invisible symmetries dictate the shape of crystals, the folding of proteins, and the stability of molecules essential for life. Here, repetition is survival. The universe favors patterns that endure. As the camera zooms out, molecules combine into chains, forming the building blocks of life. DNA coils into elegant double helices, its spiral a repetition of geometric perfection. RNA, proteins, and cellular structures all follow the same principle. A few basic elements assemble into complex forms through recurring rules. Life itself is pattern, repeating itself across generations, encoded in chemical structures that mirror cosmic proportions. Even the Fibonacci sequence appears in leaf arrangements, flower petals, and the spiral shells of mollusks, hinting that the language of life mirrors the language of the stars. But repetition is not confined to biology. Crystalline minerals grow in lattices, ice forms hexagons and snowflakes, though each unique, obey fundamental geometric principles. Fractals emerge everywhere, branching rivers, lightning, mountain ridges, and cloud formations. These are the signatures of self-similarity, patterns that repeat at different scales, echoing the same rules in miniature and in vastness. The universe, it seems, delights in recurrence. Chaos and order coexist, but order always leaves traces, recognizable forms within apparent randomness. The narrative shifts to physics. Quantum fields ripple with repeating vibrations, interference patterns emerge in particle clouds, and waves of probability guide electrons without certainty, yet within boundaries. Even the seemingly unpredictable quantum realm obeys hidden structures. Patterns at this scale ripple upward, influencing chemistry, biology, and planetary systems. Repetition is a bridge connecting the invisible and the visible, the quantum and the cosmic. The narrator emphasizes the emotional weight of this revelation. Every pattern we see is a message from the universe, a hint that structure persists, even in the unseen. The cosmos is not chaotic, it is coded. Mathematics becomes the tool to read these codes. Symmetry groups, tessellations, and fractal geometry allow scientists to map recurring phenomena, revealing a world that is intricate, ordered, and breathtakingly elegant. What seems irregular or arbitrary is often a shadow of a deeper pattern we cannot yet fully grasp. Cut to imagery of natural repetition. The waves of an ocean, the spiral of a hurricane, the arrangement of petals in a sunflower. Each is a visible echo of hidden laws, a manifestation of the same principles operating across space and time. From the repetition of orbital paths to the structure of galaxies, nature favors certain configurations, ones that endure, resonate, and sustain complexity. The repetition of form is a universal strategy, one that ensures stability while allowing evolution and variation. Even human life mirrors these patterns. Our brains are wired to detect symmetry and repetition. Our cultures build rhythm, music, and architecture on recurring motifs. Mathematics, art, and science all reflect an innate recognition of pattern, an instinctual response to the universe's hidden language. We are part of the same recursive design, observers and participants in a system that constantly mirrors itself. Yet the patterns are not static. Small variations, deviations, and imperfections give rise to novelty. Chaos, fractal divergence, and stochastic processes ensure that repetition does not become stagnation. The universe creates a dynamic interplay. Repetition builds stability, while variation allows growth, adaptation, and creativity. The repeating structures form the framework. The deviations give life its unpredictability, its richness, its narrative. The section turns reflective, considering the philosophical implications. If patterns repeat across scales, connecting atoms, life, and galaxies, then perhaps there is a unifying principle behind all existence. The universe is not a collection of isolated events, but a coherent system governed by rules that echo at every level. Understanding these patterns is not merely scientific, it is existential. To recognize repetition is to understand belonging, connection, and the hidden order that frames every experience. The visuals shift to abstract representations, overlapping fractals, particle interference, and spirals expanding into infinity. The narrator's voice is soft, resonant, and awe-filled. Patterns are everywhere, in the seen and unseen, the large and small. They are the threads that stitch reality together, the hidden alphabet of creation. To see them is to read the universe, to recognize the silent grammar that shapes existence itself. Finally, the camera returns to the human perspective. A child traces a leaf's veins, a scientist observes electron clouds, a stargazer notes the spiral of a distant galaxy. Each observer participates in a grand continuum, perceiving echoes of patterns that stretch from the microscopic to the cosmic. The section closes with the realization that repetition is not mere coincidence. It is the signature of design, of resonance, of the universe speaking in its own secret language. The unseen patterns are not hidden by chance. They are hidden to challenge us to perceive, to question, and to marvel. Light is more than what we see. It is the universe's messenger, a carrier of information across space and time, traveling billions of years to reach our eyes. Every photon that arrives from a distant star carries a story of creation, collision, and cosmic evolution. But light is not merely illumination. It is a language, a script written in waves and frequencies, encoding the secrets of the cosmos in patterns invisible to the naked eye. To decode light is to read the universe's diary, to perceive the rhythms and structures that define reality itself. The section opens with a breathtaking visualization of the night sky. Stars glimmer, nebulae swirl, and galaxies spiral in distant voids. Each speck of light, though faint and small, contains immense information: chemical composition, velocity, temperature, and age. Spectroscopy, the science of splitting light into its constituent colors, allows astronomers to translate these signals into knowledge. Redshift, blueshift, and spectral lines are letters in a cosmic alphabet, revealing movement, energy, and the underlying geometry of space. The narrator's voice rises with wonder. Every beam of light carries a story. The universe speaks, and light is its voice. From the grandest scales to the smallest, light organizes reality. Photons move in waves, their oscillations defining color, energy, and momentum. They are influenced by gravity, bending near massive objects, forming arcs and lenses that distort yet reveal. The curvature of light around black holes, the shimmering rings of distant galaxies, and the auroras dancing over planetary poles all demonstrate that light is not passive. It is a medium, an active participant in the cosmos's ongoing conversation. The narrative shifts to the microscopic. Inside atoms, electrons absorb and emit photons, producing discrete lines of light. These emissions are not random. They follow precise energy levels dictated by quantum mechanics. Each transition is a word, each spectrum a sentence, telling us how matter interacts, bonds, and transforms. Through light, we perceive the invisible, the scaffolding of molecules, the dance of electrons, the birth of chemical reactions. Astronomers use light to look back in time. When we observe a star a million light-years away, we see it as it existed a million years ago. Light is a time capsule, delivering history encoded in waves. Cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint glow left from the Big Bang, is another messenger. Its subtle fluctuations reveal the early universe's structure, the first seeds of galaxies, and the initial distribution of matter. In essence, light allows us to read the universe's autobiography, written in a language older than life itself. The section then moves to human perception and metaphor. Color, shadow, and illumination guide not only science but art, culture, and philosophy. Rainbows, sunsets, and moonlight evoke emotion, pattern, and awe. The physics of light intersects with psychology, showing that how we perceive the world is shaped by the very waves that structure reality. Light is both messenger and medium, objective and subjective, measurable and mysterious. The narrator introduces the concept of information encoded in light. Photons can be polarized, entangled, and manipulated, carrying data across unimaginable distances. Scientists exploit these properties in quantum communication, hinting that the universe itself may operate through an information network written in photons. Even at cosmological scales, light transmits structure, spiral arms, cosmic filaments, and nebulae, all guided by interactions that are invisible except through the language of electromagnetic waves. The film presents contrasting imagery. On one side, the warm glow of a candle, familiar and intimate. On the other, the blinding radiance of a quasar billions of light-years away, a beacon from the dawn of time. Both are expressions of the same fundamental principle: light as a messenger, pattern-bearer, and interpreter. The narrator emphasizes this contrast. From the smallest flame to the farthest galaxy, light is constant. It bridges scales, connects moments, and translates the cosmos for those willing to perceive. The narrative deepens with examples of discovery. Spectral analysis has revealed the chemical composition of exoplanets, the temperature of stars, and the expansion of the universe itself. Gravitational lensing allows astronomers to detect dark matter indirectly, observing how it bends the paths of photons. Without light, the universe would remain silent, its history and structure inaccessible. Every measurement, every revelation relies on decoding its messages. Finally, the section contemplates the poetic and philosophical dimensions. Light is not just a physical phenomenon, it is a metaphor for knowledge, perception, and consciousness. The interplay of shadow and illumination mirrors the human quest for understanding. Always reaching, always translating, always interpreting. Just as light reveals galaxies and atoms, it illuminates thought and insight, bridging the inner and outer worlds. The closing sequence merges scales: photons exiting distant stars, electrons vibrating within atoms, auroras shimmering on Earth, and human eyes absorbing each subtle nuance. The narrator concludes, "Light is the alphabet of the universe, a language written in waves and frequencies. To read it is to glimpse the hidden code, to understand the patterns that shape existence, and to hear the universe whisper its secrets." Life is not separate from the universe, it is a continuation of its patterns, a reflection of the same rules that shape stars and galaxies. From the vast cosmic dance of planets to the microscopic architecture of molecules, the same laws govern all. Nowhere is this more evident than in the genetic code, DNA, the blueprint of life, an intricate manuscript written in 4 letters that instruct cells, tissues, and entire organisms. Within its spiraling ladder lies a resonance with the cosmos itself, a repetition of ratios, spirals, and symmetries that echo the language of galaxies, hurricanes, and seashells. The code that built us is both chemical and geometric, a testament to the universality of pattern. The section opens with a sweeping visualization of a double helix rotating slowly against a backdrop of stars. Each twist of the DNA strand mirrors the spiral of a galaxy, each base pair a reflection of mathematical precision. The narrator's voice draws the connection. From the smallest molecule to the largest spiral, the same patterns emerge. Life is written with the same language that governs the heavens. This is not metaphor. The proportions of the DNA helix, the angles between chemical bonds, and the spiraling formation of chromosomes all follow ratios that resonate with natural and cosmic geometry. At the cellular level, repetition governs every process. Proteins fold in predictable patterns, enzymes catalyze reactions with precise efficiency, and molecular machines operate through coordinated vibrations. Chaos is contained within boundaries, variation is allowed but constrained, and survival depends on coherence. Nature's preference for pattern is clear. Those structures that repeat, resonate, and reinforce themselves endure. The universe, in essence, builds life through rhythm and recurrence, using the same principles that sculpt galaxies and govern planetary motion. The camera shifts to developmental biology. A single cell divides, forming tissue layers, organs, and eventually an entire organism. The process is guided not by random chance, but by deeply embedded mathematical instructions. Branching patterns appear in lungs, blood vessels, and tree roots. Spiral structures arise in shells, horns, and plant stems. Fibonacci sequences and golden ratios emerge repeatedly, suggesting that life, like the cosmos, favors proportion and symmetry. Growth itself is a conversation between genetic code and physical law, a dialogue in the language of form. Even human physiology mirrors cosmic patterns. The rhythm of the heartbeat, the oscillations of neural networks, and the synchrony of circadian cycles all exhibit wave-like regularity. These internal resonances are harmonized with external phenomena, tides, seasons, and the cycles of light and dark. We are tuned, consciously or not, to the broader oscillations of the universe. The narrator emphasizes, our bodies are instruments, vibrating in harmony with forces that extend far beyond our perception. The same ratios that shape galaxies shape us. The section explores the philosophical and emotional implications. If life mirrors cosmic patterns, then we are not anomalies or accidents. We are expressions of a fundamental architecture, temporary arrangements of energy obeying universal laws. Evolution is not random chaos. It is pattern repeated and refined, trial and error operating within a framework of geometric and mathematical inevitability. Each mutation, each adaptation, is guided by the invisible syntax of creation. The camera moves to the microscopic world again. Molecular structures glowing under electron microscopes, proteins folding into precise shapes, RNA transcribing genetic information with near-perfect accuracy. Even at this scale, repetition dominates. The narrator remarks, life is not improvisation. It is improvisation constrained by the rules of a deeper score. a rhythm that extends from atoms to ecosystems, from the smallest cell to the largest galaxy. Patterns are not just structural, they are functional. The same principles that allow a star to shine also allow life to exist, persist, and evolve. The narrative broadens to ecosystems. Forests, coral reefs, and deserts exhibit repeating motifs, fractal branching, cyclical growth, and energy flows that mirror the patterns seen in physics and chemistry. Life is organized, interconnected, and recursive. Each organism is a node in a web of relationships, yet the network itself reflects the same universal tendencies: self-similarity, balance, and resonance. The invisible language of the universe manifests in every leaf, wing, and wave. The story deepens with a discussion of consciousness. Neuronal firing patterns in the brain follow rhythms not unlike those of celestial bodies. Oscillations in gamma, alpha, and theta waves coordinate perception, memory, and thought. Here, pattern becomes awareness. The architecture of mind, like the architecture of life in the cosmos, obeys resonance, repetition, and proportion. We are, in a profound sense, both built by and attuned to the universe's hidden code. The section closes with a cinematic montage: DNA spirals dissolving into galaxies, neurons firing against the backdrop of star clusters, rivers branching like veins. The narrator ties these threads together. The code that built us is the code that built everything. Life is geometry in motion, mathematics made flesh, a reflection of the same principles that shape the stars. To understand ourselves is to glimpse the universe, and to glimpse the universe is to understand the pattern behind all existence. The final thought lingers. The same laws, the same ratios, the same language permeate matter, energy, life, and consciousness. Life is not separate from the cosmos. It is the cosmos expressed, resonating with the rhythms and patterns of creation itself. The universe writes, and we are part of its sentence, the living letters in a text billions of years in the making. Time is often thought of as linear, a river flowing steadily from past to future, carrying everything along with it. Yet, when we look deeper, time reveals itself to be far more complex. A rhythm, a cycle, a tapestry of interwoven patterns. From the beating of a human heart to the rotation of galaxies, the passage of moments is structured, patterned, and measurable. It is a language as old as the universe itself, spoken not with words but with motion, vibration, and recurrence. To understand time is to begin deciphering the syntax of existence, to perceive the invisible framework that organizes all things. The section opens with a sweeping view of the cosmos, stars and galaxies spinning in slow, graceful arcs. Their rotations are not arbitrary, they follow predictable paths dictated by gravity, momentum, and geometry. Each orbit, each oscillation, is a unit of time, a beat in the grand rhythm of the universe. From these motions, ancient civilizations glimpsed calendars, seasons, and celestial cycles. Time, they realized, was encoded in the movement of the heavens. Ancient humans measured time through the sky. The Egyptians tracked solstices and equinoxes, aligning monuments with the rising of particular stars. The Babylonians developed lunar calendars, observing the moon's phases to organize agriculture and ritual. The Maya created complex calendars, not merely counting days, but mapping cycles within cycles, integrating the rhythms of planets, the sun, and human life. Time was never just a quantity, it was a pattern, a repeating sequence, a code that structured existence itself. The narrative shifts to modern science. Isaac Newton imagined absolute time, flowing uniformly regardless of observer. Yet Einstein shattered this view, revealing that time is not fixed but flexible, interwoven with space in a four-dimensional fabric known as spacetime. Gravity warps time, acceleration dilates it, and the cosmos itself moves in rhythms that are not always uniform. The very act of motion becomes a form of communication, a way that the universe signals change, progression, and relation. The narrator guides the viewer through a journey from micro to macro. At the quantum level, particles fluctuate in time, creating probabilities rather than certainties. Their interactions, though appearing random, follow deep patterns that resonate through larger systems. At the scale of planets and stars, time manifests as orbital cycles, rotation periods, and oscillations of pulsars. These cycles intersect, creating harmonics that repeat across scales. The universe, in effect, organizes itself in temporal symphony, patterns nested within patterns. Biology, too, reflects cosmic time. Circadian rhythms regulate sleep, metabolism, and hormone release. Heartbeats, breathing cycles, and neural oscillations create internal clocks, synchronized with external cues like sunlight and tides. Life itself is a measure of temporal patterns, a living echo of cosmic motion. The narrator emphasizes, time is not merely a backdrop for life. It is life itself, encoded in rhythm, oscillation, and recurrence. The section explores philosophical dimensions. If time is patterned rather than linear, then cause and effect are intertwined with cycles, feedback loops, and resonance. The universe may not move from point A to B in a straight line, but in spirals, loops, and oscillations that mirror the structures found in matter, energy, and life. Our perception of past, present, and future is a translation, a human way of interpreting these rhythms, but the cosmos itself is operating in a far richer temporal language. The narrative turns to striking visual metaphors. A pulsar spins, sending electromagnetic pulses like clockwork. A river flows, carving repeated meanders through a landscape. Clouds form, dissipate, and reform in fractal patterns. On a microscopic scale, molecules vibrate, replicate, and interact in repeating cycles. Each example illustrates a fundamental principle. Time is the medium through which patterns propagate, the conduit for recurrence and resonance. Astronomers use time to decode history. Light from distant stars and galaxies allows us to see the past, sometimes billions of years ago. Cosmic microwave background radiation offers a snapshot of the universe mere moments after the Big Bang. Time is a record, a memory, a language written across the cosmos. It is both observable and inferable, measurable and meaningful. The section highlights the tension between predictability and uncertainty. Even within repeating cycles, deviations occur, mutations in biology, perturbations in orbital paths, fluctuations in quantum states. These variations allow complexity, adaptation, and evolution. Time is not rigid. It is dynamic, flexible, and responsive, a medium that structures reality while allowing creativity and change. The narrator draws a connection between the temporal patterns of the universe and human experience. History, culture, and memory all reflect cycles and recurrence. Music, poetry, and ritual are temporal expressions of these cosmic rhythms, connecting our consciousness to larger patterns. We experience time not just as duration but as resonance, a continuity that links individual moments into coherent narratives. The closing imagery spans scales: electrons vibrating, planets orbiting, stars pulsing, galaxies rotating. A heartbeat overlays the visuals, synchronized with the cosmic rhythm. The narrator concludes with a reflection that blends awe and mystery. Time is not a river flowing in one direction. It is a symphony of recurrence, a language written in motion and vibration. To read its patterns is to glimpse the invisible order that structures the universe, and to hear the rhythm behind all existence. Energy is the hidden pulse of the universe, the unseen force that drives creation, motion, and transformation. It is the thread connecting every atom, every star, every living organism, and every galaxy. Though invisible, energy manifests everywhere, in light, heat, magnetism, and movement, and it obeys subtle rules that govern the cosmos. Energy is not merely a property of matter. It is the language in which the universe writes its own existence. To study energy is to decode the mechanisms behind motion, life, and the evolution of everything we see. The section opens with a vast cosmic panorama: stars igniting in nebulae, supernovae exploding with brilliant intensity, and galaxies swirling in harmonic motion. Each event releases energy on a scale beyond comprehension, yet the same principles govern a falling apple or the flow of a river. The narrator's voice underscores this continuity. From the smallest vibration to the largest cosmic eruption, energy is the medium through which the universe expresses itself. At the subatomic level, energy is motion, vibration, and interaction. Electrons move through fields, photons oscillate, and particles collide with precise force. Quantum mechanics reveals that energy is quantized, discrete packets called quanta. These quantized interactions dictate chemistry, nuclear processes, and the behavior of matter. Without energy, nothing moves, nothing changes, and the universe would be frozen in silence. The unseen motions of particles are the foundation of all structure, from molecules to stars. The narrative shifts to cosmic scales. Gravity, kinetic motion, and electromagnetic forces drive the formation of galaxies, stars, and planets. Collapsing clouds of gas release energy that ignites fusion in stellar cores. This energy, radiated as light and heat, travels across the cosmos, seeding planets with the building blocks of life. Every sun, every flare, every cosmic wind is a manifestation of energy acting through geometric and physical laws. Even the vacuum of space is not empty. Quantum fluctuations ripple through it, a subtle energy seething beneath apparent stillness. Energy is also cyclical and transformative. Matter can convert into energy and energy into matter, following Einstein's famous principle. E equals mc squared. Stars forge elements in their cores, transforming hydrogen into helium, carbon, and heavier atoms. When stars die, they scatter these elements, recycling them into new generations of stars, planets, and eventually life itself. Energy is both the spark and the architect. A language that builds, destroys, and rebuilds in an endless cycle. Cut to human experience. Our bodies are engines of energy, converting food into motion, heat, and thought. The brain operates through electrochemical signals, neurons firing in precise patterns that enable perception, memory, and consciousness. The heart pulses with kinetic energy, muscles contract and expand, and even thought itself is energy manifested. On a deeper level, human understanding of energy, through technology, physics, and art, is an attempt to harmonize with this universal force, to speak the language the cosmos has already written. The narrator introduces the philosophical dimension. If energy is the medium of all existence, then it is also the connector, linking phenomena across scales. Waves in the ocean, vibrations in the air, magnetic fields threading through space, and neural oscillations in the brain all obey the same principles. Energy is the syntax that binds matter and motion into coherent systems, the medium through which the universe communicates its structure. The section emphasizes patterns in energy. Oscillations, resonance, and interference appear everywhere. Light waves, sound waves, and gravitational waves all obey harmonic principles, interacting and amplifying in predictable ways. Even chaotic systems, from weather to planetary orbits, are constrained by energetic rules. Energy flows, loops, and cycles create stability within apparent disorder, demonstrating that the universe is both dynamic and ordered. The visuals then shift to extremes. Supernovae detonating with unimaginable energy, black holes warping spacetime, plasma streaming from stars, and auroras shimmering across planets. Each scene illustrates energy in motion, revealing both its destructive and creative potential. Chaos and order are inseparable in this dance. Energy destroys, yet from that destruction arises structure, formation, and life. The narrative draws a connection between energy and consciousness. Human perception and thought depend on energy patterns in the brain. Neurons synchronize in rhythmic oscillations, producing awareness and cognition. At the same time, our creative endeavors, music, engineering, and art, channel energy into forms that resonate with the environment. In this sense, energy is not only the foundation of matter, but also the medium through which life interprets and interacts with the cosmos. Finally, the section reflects on the universality of energy. From the microcosm to the macrocosm, from electrons to galaxies, the rules are consistent. Energy flows, transforms, resonates, and structures reality. The narrator concludes with a profound insight. Energy is the pulse of existence, the invisible current that animates matter, organizes life, and connects every corner of the cosmos. To understand energy is to understand the universe itself, its language, its rhythm, and its enduring harmony. Information is the invisible thread that connects everything in the universe, a subtle currency that flows through matter, energy, and life. It is encoded in the spin of particles, the sequence of DNA, the vibrations of light, and the patterns of neural networks. Information is not merely descriptive, it is formative. It dictates behavior, preserves memory, and structures complexity. Without information, energy would move without direction, matter would exist without form, and life would be nothing more than chaotic motion. In essence, information is the language through which the universe organizes itself. The section opens with a sweeping visualization of a cosmic web, galaxies strung along filaments, clusters connected by threads of dark matter, all forming a vast network of communication and structure. The narrator's voice draws attention. Across the vastness of space, information flows. Every particle, every wave, every interaction is a message, a signal, a record of the universe's ongoing story. From quantum fluctuations to the structure of the largest cosmic formations, information is the pattern that allows complexity to emerge. At the microscopic level, information is encoded in the fundamental particles. Electrons, quarks, and photons carry state, spin, and charge, discrete packets of information governing interaction. Quantum entanglement allows particles to share information instantaneously across vast distances, hinting at a subtle underlying network that transcends conventional limits of space and time. The universe communicates in whispers too faint to hear directly, yet detectable through careful observation and experimentation. Life is perhaps the most visible expression of information in action. DNA encodes instructions for cellular function, organismal development, and evolutionary adaptation. Every sequence carries a story, a blueprint that guides growth, responds to environmental pressures and ensures survival. Epigenetic mechanisms overlay additional information, modifying expression without altering the underlying code. Life thrives by storing, transmitting, and interpreting information, a dynamic process that mirrors the behavior of the cosmos itself. The narrative expands to human cognition. Neurons transmit electrical signals across synapses, encoding sensory input, memory, and thought. Neural networks are patterns of information, oscillating, amplifying, and interacting in ways that produce consciousness. Just as the cosmos relies on information to organize matter and energy, our minds rely on information to structure experience, perception, and identity. The narrator emphasizes, consciousness is information made manifest, a reflection of the universe's own capacity to organize, record, and understand. Information is not static. It flows, transforms, and loops back upon itself. Feedback loops in ecosystems, climate, and social systems demonstrate how information propagates, influencing outcomes across scales. Chaos and variation are not obstacles, but features of this informational network. They allow adaptation, innovation, and evolution. Patterns persist because information preserves structure, yet the system remains dynamic, flexible, and alive. The visuals illustrate this principle: branching rivers, spiraling galaxies, neural firing patterns, and DNA coiling. All are expressions of information transmitted and interpreted across scales. Energy alone is insufficient to create complexity. Matter alone is insufficient. It is information, the instructions embedded in form and process, that enables order, function, and meaning to emerge from apparent randomness. The narrative introduces the modern scientific understanding of information as a physical entity. Shannon's information theory describes how messages can be encoded, transmitted, and decoded, setting limits on accuracy and efficiency. In physics, information may be conserved even in processes that seem destructive. Black holes, for instance, encode information about matter that falls into them, suggesting that the universe never truly loses its memory. This idea links deeply with entropy, thermodynamics, and the arrow of time, showing that information is central to the structure of reality. The section then explores the philosophical dimension. If the universe is structured by information, then knowledge, perception, and understanding are not human inventions. They are recognitions of the patterns already present in reality. Mathematics, science, and even art are languages humans have developed to interpret this cosmic information. In decoding these signals, we participate in the same process that has structured stars, life, and consciousness. The narrator emphasizes contrast and tension. Information can reveal and conceal. Some patterns are immediately perceptible, like planetary orbits or DNA sequences. Others remain hidden, like quantum correlations or the dark matter web. The universe communicates constantly, yet only those equipped to decode its signals, through observation, reasoning, and intuition, can understand its language. This selective accessibility creates mystery, curiosity, and the drive for exploration. The section closes with a cinematic montage: photons carrying information across space, DNA replicating within cells, neurons firing in complex networks, rivers carving landscapes, and galaxies spinning in silent synchrony. The narrator concludes, information is the code, the message, the instruction embedded in the fabric of reality. It organizes matter, shapes energy, guides life, and produces consciousness. To read it is to understand the universe, not as a collection of random events, but as a coherent, evolving story, a story written in the secret language that underlies all existence. Order and chaos coexist in the universe, a delicate tension that shapes everything from the spin of galaxies to the folding of proteins. At first glance, reality may appear random: stars scattered across the sky, waves crashing unpredictably on a shore, or the chaotic firing of neurons in the brain. Yet beneath this apparent disorder lies structure, hidden patterns, and rules that govern behavior. Chaos is not the absence of order, it is a different layer of the same language, a necessary component of complexity. Understanding this interplay is crucial to deciphering the universe's secret code. The section opens with a visual of swirling galaxies, each unique, yet following gravitational laws that maintain their spin and shape. Nearby, turbulent clouds twist and fold in storms, revealing vortex patterns that repeat across scales. The narrator's voice draws attention to contrast. The universe thrives on tension. Chaos and order are intertwined. One cannot exist without the other. It is the interplay between them that gives rise to the richness of reality. Patterns emerge from turbulence, regularity from randomness, and beauty from unpredictability. At the microscopic level, chaotic systems follow rules. Fluid dynamics, chemical reactions, and quantum processes display sensitive dependence on initial conditions, a hallmark of chaos. Yet these systems are not entirely unpredictable. Fractals, attractors, and repeating motifs reveal that order persists even within apparent disorder. A single drop of water hitting a surface may create ripples that seem random, but these ripples obey precise mathematical principles, echoing patterns found in rivers, clouds, and even galaxies. The narrative emphasizes fractals as a bridge between chaos and order. Trees branch, lightning forks, coastlines zigzag, all following self-similar patterns that repeat at multiple scales. These fractal forms are not coincidental. They are efficient solutions to physical constraints. Nature prefers designs that optimize flow, stability, and resilience, demonstrating that even chaos has a subtle, underlying logic. The narrator reflects, what appears wild and unpredictable is often a structured response to invisible rules. Chaos is also temporal. Weather systems, planetary orbits, and population dynamics evolve in complex ways. Small perturbations can amplify into major changes, the so-called butterfly effect. Yet within these fluctuations, stability often emerges. Seasonal cycles, orbital resonances, and ecological feedback loops create coherence from turbulence. The universe achieves balance not through elimination of disorder, but through dynamic interaction between chaos and order. The section explores biological systems. The brain, heart, and ecosystems all operate at the edge of chaos, a region where flexibility meets stability. Neural networks exploit irregular firing patterns to process information efficiently, allowing adaptability and creativity. Ecological networks maintain biodiversity through cycles of growth, predation, and competition. Life itself exists in this delicate balance, a dance between unpredictability and structure, ensuring resilience and evolution. Mathematics provides a window into these patterns. Nonlinear equations, chaos theory, and complex systems analysis allow scientists to model phenomena that seem random. Strange attractors, for example, map recurring patterns in chaotic systems, showing that even unpredictability has structure. The universe is not lawless. It is law-bound, but in ways that challenge linear intuition. Chaos is order we have yet to fully perceive. The section shifts to a philosophical perspective. Humans instinctively seek pattern and predictability, yet the universe challenges this desire with its inherent complexity. The tension between chaos and order mirrors human experience. Life is both uncertain and structured, threatening and harmonious, fleeting and eternal. This duality evokes awe, fear, and wonder, the same emotions that propel scientific curiosity and artistic creation. The narrative introduces contrast framing, explosive supernovae and serene spiral galaxies, turbulent oceans and calm rivers, unpredictable quantum fluctuations and the steady orbit of planets. Each pair illustrates that chaos and order coexist, reinforcing one another. Disorder generates novelty, while order preserves stability. Without chaos, the universe would be stagnant. Without order, it would be incomprehensible. Both are necessary to sustain the intricate complexity we observe. The visuals expand further. Fractal clouds morphing into galaxies, lightning transforming into tree branches, neuronal firings forming patterns that mirror star clusters. This recursive imagery emphasizes the universality of chaotic patterns and their role in creating structure. Chaos is not the opposite of order. It is the hidden dimension of it, a language that complements symmetry and proportion. The section concludes with a reflection on human understanding. By studying chaos, scientists gain insight into natural phenomena, predict weather, model ecosystems, and explore complex systems. By embracing uncertainty, we find patterns that guide innovation, adaptation, and understanding. The narrator closes with resonance. Chaos and order are two sides of the same coin. One creates, the other preserves. One disrupts, the other structures. Together, they form the dynamic grammar through which the universe expresses itself, a language both elusive and profoundly beautiful. Consciousness is one of the universe's most enigmatic phenomena, a shimmering intersection between matter, energy, and information. Unlike stars, planets, or molecules, it is not easily measured, yet its presence is undeniable. Consciousness is the capacity to perceive, to reflect, to experience the flow of time and the patterns that shape reality. It is the lens through which the universe becomes aware of itself. Some philosophers suggest it is an emergent property of complexity. Others propose it is fundamental, woven into the very fabric of existence. Whatever its origin, consciousness is intimately linked to the hidden language of the cosmos. The section opens with a cinematic visualization of neurons firing in a human brain, illuminated like a constellation of stars. Electrical pulses ripple through networks, creating synchronized oscillations. These microcosmic events mirror the rhythm of larger systems, planetary cycles, stellar rotations, and galactic spirals. The narrator's voice draws the parallel. Within the tiny circuits of the brain, echoes of the cosmos resonate. Consciousness is the universe reflecting upon itself, patterns recognizing patterns, vibrations perceiving vibrations. At the cellular level, consciousness emerges from the interplay of information and energy. Neurons communicate through electrochemical signals, forming dynamic networks that encode experience. Neural oscillations, from the slow waves of deep sleep to the rapid spikes of sensory processing, create temporal structures that underpin perception, memory, and thought. Each oscillation is a microcosmic reflection of larger rhythms in nature, tidal cycles, circadian rhythms, and even cosmic vibrations. Consciousness, in this sense, is not separate from the universe. It is an expression of its rhythmic patterns. The narrative shifts to evolution. Life evolved to process information efficiently, and consciousness is perhaps the ultimate product of this capacity. By perceiving patterns, predicting outcomes, and planning action, organisms gained adaptive advantages. Yet consciousness is more than survival. It is the capacity for abstract thought, imagination, and introspection. Humans can recognize themselves in mirrors, conceptualize distant galaxies, and contemplate the nature of time. The universe, through consciousness, becomes aware of its own structure, revealing a profound feedback loop. Matter generates life, life generates awareness, and awareness perceives matter. The section delves into the physics of consciousness. Quantum theories of mind suggest that superposition, entanglement, and coherence might play roles in cognitive processes, though these ideas remain controversial. Whether through classical neural networks or quantum phenomena, the brain encodes, processes, and interprets information, translating raw energy into perception and insight. Consciousness, therefore, may be a mechanism by which the universe reads itself, a way for patterns to recognize their own existence. Philosophical perspectives deepen the mystery. Panpsychism proposes that consciousness is a fundamental property of matter, present even in the simplest particles. While speculative, this idea aligns with the view that awareness is not an anomaly but an intrinsic aspect of reality. Consciousness might not emerge solely from complexity. It may be a thread woven through all existence, subtle yet persistent, like a vibration underlying matter and energy. The narrative then explores the subjective experience. Consciousness is rich, fluid, and layered. Dreams, memories, and imagination create internal landscapes that mirror external reality. The mind perceives patterns in sound, light, and motion, translating physical phenomena into meaning. The oscillations of neurons synchronize with the rhythms of the environment, the rise and fall of tides, the cycles of day and night, the cadence of music. The universe communicates, and consciousness listens, interprets, and responds. Contrast framing highlights the paradox of consciousness. It is both intimate and vast, fragile yet profound, ephemeral yet enduring. While the firing of neurons lasts milliseconds, the patterns they create allow reflection across lifetimes, the transmission of knowledge, and the creation of culture. Individual awareness is localized, but through language, art, and science, consciousness extends beyond the individual, connecting minds across space and time. It becomes a networked resonance, echoing the interconnectedness seen in nature and the cosmos. The section also addresses the mystery of self-awareness. Humans contemplate mortality, ethics, and the infinite, extending consciousness beyond immediate survival. This reflective capacity is rare in the natural world, and it may be the key to understanding the universe's hidden language. By contemplating patterns, symmetry, and order, we become participants in the cosmic conversation rather than passive observers. Consciousness is both a receiver and a transmitter, decoding reality while simultaneously projecting interpretation. The visuals expand to a cosmic perspective. Neurons firing morph into constellations, thought patterns overlap with the spiral arms of galaxies, and brain waves mirror gravitational oscillations. The narrator reflects, consciousness is a bridge, between matter and energy, between the seen and unseen, between chaos and order. Through it, the universe becomes aware of itself, recognizing the patterns, rhythms, and structures that compose reality. The section closes with a contemplative tone, emphasizing wonder and mystery. Consciousness is not fully understood, yet it is essential to any attempt to read the universe's secret language. It allows the cosmos to reflect, question, and marvel. In perceiving patterns, energy flows, vibrations, and information, consciousness becomes an interpreter of the hidden code, a living participant in the symphony of existence. The narrator leaves the audience with a lingering thought. To study consciousness is to glimpse the universe looking back at itself, a dialogue that stretches from the smallest neuron to the farthest star, echoing in patterns both visible and invisible. The universe is not merely a collection of isolated phenomena, it is a network of relationships, a web in which every particle, star, and organism is connected through intricate patterns of interaction. These connections are not random, they follow precise rules, often invisible, that govern energy, matter, and information. From the gravitational pull between planets to the chemical signals exchanged between cells, interactions define reality. The universe communicates through these connections, transmitting patterns that ripple across scales. To understand these relationships is to perceive the hidden grammar of existence, the syntax that binds chaos and order into a coherent whole. The section opens with a sweeping visualization of the cosmic web, dark matter filaments stretching across billions of light-years, connecting galaxies like luminous beads on invisible threads. Gravity orchestrates the dance of celestial bodies, maintaining coherence in the apparent randomness of the cosmos. Stars orbit galactic centers, galaxies collide and merge, and clusters of galaxies trace patterns that hint at the underlying structure. The narrator emphasizes, connection is the universe's secret. Every action, every motion, every signal is linked, forming networks that echo across space and time. Zooming in, we see planetary systems and their interactions. The gravitational pull of a star guides the orbit of planets, while moons tug at their parent planets, creating tides and resonances. These subtle forces govern climate, geology, and the evolution of life. Even the smallest perturbation in one part of a system can cascade, influencing distant regions, a reminder that the universe operates not in isolation but through relationships. At the molecular and cellular level, interactions become even more intricate. Proteins bind, enzymes catalyze reactions, and cells communicate through chemical signals. Neural networks transmit information, creating perception and thought. Life thrives not merely because of individual components, but because of their interactions, their coordinated patterns, and their ability to respond to stimuli. Each connection reinforces the hidden structure of the system, allowing complexity to emerge from simple rules. The narrative introduces the concept of networks and systems. From ecosystems to societies, patterns of interaction define function and stability. Predator and prey, pollinator and plant, neuron and neuron. Each relationship contributes to the maintenance of balance and the propagation of information. Complex systems exhibit emergent behavior, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Connectivity is the medium through which order arises from apparent chaos. Contrast framing is used to illustrate the dual nature of connection. Some interactions create harmony, others disruption. Supernovae explode, scattering elements across space, yet these same elements eventually coalesce into new stars and planets. Cellular mutations can be destructive, yet they drive evolution and adaptation. The universe balances cooperation and conflict, stability and change, demonstrating that connections are dynamic and consequential. The section shifts to the flow of energy and information through networks. Photons travel across the cosmos, carrying data about distant events. Electrical impulses travel through neurons, transmitting thoughts and perception. In both cases, interactions enable the propagation of patterns. Information is not isolated. It moves through pathways, creating feedback loops and resonances that reinforce or alter systems. The universe is a living network, a lattice of cause, effect, and influence. The narrative also explores human-scale networks. Social structures, technology, and culture exemplify patterns of connection. Ideas propagate, relationships form, and knowledge accumulates across generations. Humans, consciously or not, mirror the same principles that govern the stars and cells. Our understanding, creativity, and cooperation are expressions of universal connectivity, demonstrating that awareness itself is a networked phenomenon. Visual metaphors reinforce this interconnectedness. Rivers feeding into oceans, roots intertwining beneath forests, neural pathways lighting up in thought, and spiral galaxies threading through cosmic voids. Each system operates through interaction, yet exhibits self-similarity across scales. The narrator emphasizes, The universe is a network of networks. Connection is not optional, it is essential. Every pattern, every motion, every signal depends on relationships that echo across time and space. The section concludes by reflecting on the philosophical and emotional implications. Understanding connections transforms perception. We are not isolated observers but participants in a vast, interdependent system. Every choice, every action, every observation resonates beyond its immediate context. The universe communicates its structure through these interactions, and by observing them, we decode its hidden language. The final thought lingers as the camera pans from microscopic interactions to cosmic webs. Everything is connected: atoms, stars, neurons, galaxies. Each interaction carries information, shapes patterns, and echoes across scales. To see these connections is to read the universe's script, to perceive the invisible threads that weave reality into a coherent, living tapestry. Symmetry is one of the most compelling and pervasive features of the universe, a language written into the fabric of reality that transcends scale and medium. From the orbit of planets to the delicate wings of a butterfly, symmetry provides balance, stability, and beauty. It is both a mathematical principle and a visual truth, revealing the hidden order that underlies apparent complexity. The universe, in its vast diversity, consistently returns to patterns of equilibrium, reflection, and repetition. Symmetry is not merely aesthetic, it is a fundamental principle that governs physics, chemistry, biology, and even consciousness. The section opens with a visual sweep of the cosmos. Galaxies spinning in spiral patterns, stars forming hexagonal arrangements within clusters, and planets orbiting with precise regularity. These cosmic structures are not arbitrary. They obey the laws of gravity, angular momentum, and energy conservation. The narrator emphasizes, symmetry is the universe's signature. It provides coherence amid chaos, a framework upon which complexity emerges. Even at the largest scales, the principle of symmetry ensures stability and predictability, allowing stars to shine and planets to orbit without immediate collapse. Zooming in, symmetry manifests in fundamental physics. Elementary particles obey symmetry rules that dictate how they interact, combine, and transform. Forces are unified under symmetry principles, from electromagnetic interactions to the strong and weak nuclear forces. Noether's theorem demonstrates that symmetry corresponds directly to conservation laws. Energy, momentum, and angular momentum are preserved because of underlying invariances. Symmetry is the hidden grammar that maintains consistency across the cosmos, ensuring that physical laws are the same in every region of space. At the molecular level, symmetry continues to structure reality. Crystals form lattices with repeating geometric patterns. Molecules fold into precise, functional shapes dictated by spatial constraints. Chemical bonds align according to symmetry principles to minimize energy. Even the water molecule exhibits a bent symmetry that allows it to hydrogen bond, producing the unique properties of life-sustaining fluids. Nature favors configurations that are efficient, stable, and balanced, and symmetry is the blueprint that enables these outcomes. The narrative then shifts to biology. Symmetry is everywhere in life, from the bilateral arrangement of animal bodies to the radial symmetry of flowers and starfish. DNA itself is a helical symmetry, twisting with exact proportions that optimize packing and function. Symmetry enhances survival. Balanced limbs enable efficient movement, proportional structures support physiological stability, and repetitive motifs in development reduce errors and increase robustness. Life's very design reflects the cosmos's penchant for repeating and harmonious patterns. Contrast framing is introduced to emphasize tension and variation. Perfect symmetry is rare. Slight asymmetries generate diversity and novelty. Fluctuations in symmetry allow evolution, creativity, and adaptation. Wings may be slightly uneven, molecules slightly distorted, and planetary orbits perturbed, yet these deviations exist within broader symmetrical rules. The universe balances rigidity with flexibility, structure with freedom, creating a dynamic interplay that fosters complexity. The section explores human perception and cognition. Humans are innately drawn to symmetry, recognizing it as aesthetically pleasing and often associating it with health, balance, and beauty. This preference is mirrored in art, architecture, and design, revealing that our minds resonate with the universe's patterns. Symmetry is both external and internal. We perceive it in nature and reflect it in our creations, aligning consciousness with cosmic principles. The narrative expands to mathematics and physics again. Fractals, tessellations, and group theory provide frameworks to describe symmetry across scales. Even chaotic systems exhibit hidden symmetrical structures, attractors that organize apparent disorder. Symmetry is not static. It evolves, shifts, and emerges in complex systems, demonstrating that balance is dynamic, adaptable, and deeply interwoven with energy and information flow. Visual metaphors reinforce these ideas. Snowflakes forming hexagonal patterns, rippling water creating radial waves, galaxies spiraling in perfect arcs, and DNA twisting into its elegant helix. Across these examples, symmetry is shown not as a superficial trait but as a fundamental principle linking physics, chemistry, biology, and consciousness. Finally, the section contemplates philosophical implications. Symmetry is a bridge between science and wonder. It suggests that the universe is intelligible, that patterns are not accidental, and that understanding these structures brings insight into the nature of reality. The narrator concludes, "Symmetry is the universal language, an expression of balance, proportion, and hidden order. It guides the flow of energy, the arrangement of matter, and the evolution of life. To recognize symmetry is to perceive the patterns that connect all scales of existence, from the subatomic to the cosmic. Waves are the rhythm of the universe, the medium through which energy, information, and matter communicate across space and time. They are everywhere, in the oceans, in the air, in light, and within the structures of matter itself. Waves carry patterns, oscillations, and signals, encoding the hidden language of reality. From the gentle lapping of tides to the pulsing of gamma-ray bursts, waves reveal motion, structure, and interaction. Understanding them is essential to deciphering how the universe conveys information, organizes matter, and maintains coherence across scales. The section opens with a sweeping visual of the ocean at dawn, waves rolling rhythmically toward the shore. Each crest and trough reflects energy in motion, a pattern repeated yet never identical. The narrator emphasizes, waves are the universe speaking in rhythm, a language that transcends scale, material, and medium. Every oscillation carries a story, a signal, a structure. The viewer is invited to consider that the patterns in these waves are not confined to water but are mirrored in air, light, sound, and matter itself. At the microscopic level, waves govern atomic and molecular interactions. Electrons exhibit wave-like behavior, spreading probabilities across space, while photons oscillate in electric and magnetic fields, transmitting energy across the void. Vibrations and molecular bonds determine chemical properties, resonance frequencies shape atomic interactions, and quantum waves encode probabilities in a language that is subtle yet profoundly ordered. Waves are both the vehicle and the syntax of these interactions, transmitting constraints, patterns, and possibilities. The narrative shifts to sound and light waves. Sound transmits pressure oscillations through air, enabling communication, perception, and resonance. Music itself is a structured wave pattern that elicits emotion, memory, and cognition. Light waves, spanning the electromagnetic spectrum, carry information across vast distances. Photons encode the chemical composition of stars, the motions of galaxies, and the structure of distant planets. Even invisible wavelengths, ultraviolet, infrared, radio, serve as messengers, revealing details of reality that our senses alone cannot perceive. Contrast framing is introduced to illustrate duality. Waves can be harmonious or chaotic, constructive or destructive. Tsunamis surge destructively, yet gentle waves shape coastlines, nurture ecosystems, and sustain life. Light waves may illuminate, yet gamma rays can destroy. Vibrations in molecules enable stability, but excessive oscillation can break bonds. The universe balances these dualities, using waves to sustain order while allowing transformation, creativity, and evolution. The section explores resonance, a phenomenon where waves amplify each other when aligned in frequency. Resonance occurs in bridges, musical instruments, atoms, and even celestial bodies. It organizes energy, synchronizes systems, and produces emergent behavior. Planets can enter orbital resonances, stabilizing their paths for eons. Neurons synchronize through oscillations, enabling cognition and perception. The universe is inherently rhythmic, and resonance is the mechanism through which waves communicate coherence across scales. The narrative expands to gravitational waves, ripples in the fabric of spacetime itself. Predicted by Einstein and first observed in 2015, these waves carry information about the most violent events in the cosmos, colliding black holes, neutron star mergers, and supernovae. Gravitational waves demonstrate that even spacetime is a medium for wave-like communication, transmitting energy and information across billions of light-years. They reveal the hidden motions of objects we cannot see, encoding history and dynamics in subtle oscillations. The section also addresses the interplay between waves and life. Neural oscillations in the brain encode thought, perception, and consciousness. Heartbeats and breathing follow rhythmic patterns that sustain physiological balance. Circadian rhythms synchronize internal processes with environmental cycles. Life itself is a pattern of waves, oscillating, interacting, and resonating with both internal and external rhythms. Understanding these patterns allows us to see that life and the cosmos share a common language of oscillation and resonance. Visual metaphors emphasize universality. Ripples in a pond echo light diffraction patterns, spiral galaxies mirror oceanic vortices, sound waves overlap with electromagnetic oscillations, and molecular vibrations mirror planetary orbits. Across scales and phenomena, waves serve as carriers, mediators, and translators of the universe's hidden language. Finally, the section contemplates the philosophical dimension. Waves blur the distinction between matter and energy, cause and effect, sender and receiver. They suggest that reality is not static but dynamic, a constant interplay of oscillation, transmission, and feedback. The narrator concludes, waves are the heartbeat of the cosmos, the medium through which energy, matter, and information converse. To perceive waves is to read the patterns that animate reality, to understand rhythm as the hidden grammar of existence, and to witness the universe in motion, vibrating with secret, enduring harmony. Frequencies are the hidden signatures that vibrate through all layers of reality, from the microscopic oscillations of particles to the pulsations of stars. Every system, whether physical, chemical, or biological, has its natural frequency, a rate at which it resonates, oscillates, or repeats. These frequencies are not arbitrary. They encode information, structure interactions, and sustain harmony. Understanding frequency is to perceive the universe's rhythm at its most fundamental level, a secret language that governs motion, communication, and coherence across scales. The section opens with a visual of a crystal lattice vibrating under thermal energy, each atom oscillating in concert with its neighbors. The narrator observes, frequencies are the universe's signature, the invisible pulses that structure matter and energy. From the smallest oscillation to the largest cosmic wave, resonance governs existence. The vibrations of atoms, molecules, and lattices set the stage for chemical reactions, physical stability, and emergent behavior, demonstrating that rhythm is encoded in matter itself. At the atomic level, electrons orbit nuclei not arbitrarily but at quantized energy levels. Natural frequencies that dictate absorption and emission of light. Photons are emitted or absorbed precisely at these resonant frequencies, transmitting information and energy across space. These quantum vibrations underpin the chemical bonds that construct molecules, proteins, and DNA. In this sense, frequency is not just a property, it is a language encoding structure and behavior in precise oscillations. The narrative expands to macroscopic systems. Planetary orbits, pendulums, and tidal cycles exhibit regular frequencies, establishing stability and predictability. Orbital resonance among planets can prevent collisions and maintain long-term order. Ocean waves, atmospheric patterns, and seismic activity all display characteristic frequencies that govern energy distribution and system dynamics. Nature prefers certain rhythms because they amplify stability and efficiency, demonstrating that resonance is central to organization at all scales. Contrast framing highlights the duality of frequency. Harmonious oscillations create coherence, while discordant ones generate turbulence and change. Musical instruments produce pleasing tones when frequencies align. Out-of-tune vibrations produce dissonance. Similarly, neurons synchronize in coherent firing patterns to process information efficiently, yet irregular firing can lead to insight, creativity, or even dysfunction. Across the universe, resonance is the bridge between order and chaos. Biology provides profound examples of frequency at work. Heartbeats, brain waves, circadian rhythms, and cellular cycles all operate on characteristic frequencies. Neural oscillations in the gamma, alpha, and theta ranges coordinate perception, memory, and consciousness. Circadian rhythms align internal physiology with environmental cycles, optimizing energy use and survival. Life itself is a network of interacting frequencies, tuned to both internal and external patterns. The narrator emphasizes, every living system vibrates in harmony with the universe, a subtle synchronization that enables function, adaptation, and awareness. The section explores sound and light as carriers of frequency. Sound waves transmit mechanical oscillations through matter, enabling communication and sensory perception. Light waves carry energy and information across space, their frequencies dictating color, energy, and interaction. Gravitational waves, rippling through spacetime, have characteristic frequencies that reveal the dynamics of colliding black holes and neutron stars. Across these phenomena, frequency is the common medium that encodes motion, energy, and information. Quantum and cosmological frequencies intersect in remarkable ways. Cosmic microwave background radiation represents the earliest vibrations of the universe, imprinted shortly after the Big Bang. These primordial oscillations preserve information about density fluctuations that seeded galaxies and cosmic structure. Even today, pulsars emit precise electromagnetic pulses, marking time with extraordinary regularity. The universe itself is a symphony of frequencies, each oscillation carrying a message across space and time. The narrative emphasizes patterns and resonance. When frequencies align, energy amplifies and patterns emerge. Standing waves, harmonic oscillations, and resonance phenomena occur throughout nature, from the microscopic vibrations of molecules to the rotation of planets and oscillations of stars. Misalignment or interference can produce chaos, yet even discordant frequencies contribute to emergent complexity, adaptation, and evolution. Frequency, therefore, is both stabilizer and innovator. Visual metaphors reinforce these concepts. Vibrating strings forming standing waves, planetary systems oscillating in orbital resonance, neurons firing in rhythmic patterns, and pulsars beaming at precise intervals. Across scales, the universe demonstrates that resonance is the medium through which patterns are maintained, energy is transmitted, and information is encoded. The section concludes with a reflective perspective. Frequencies are the hidden heartbeat of reality, the silent pulses that sustain order, enable communication, and animate matter and life. The narrator closes, "To perceive frequency is to listen to the universe's inner music, to understand the hidden oscillations that structure existence, and to witness the resonance that links atoms, organisms, and galaxies in a coherent, vibrating symphony of reality." Waves are the rhythm of the universe, the medium through which energy, information, and matter communicate across space and time. They are everywhere, in the oceans, in the air, in light, and within the structures of matter itself. Waves carry patterns, oscillations, and signals, encoding the hidden language of reality. From the gentle lapping of tides to the pulsing of gamma-ray bursts, waves reveal motion, structure, and interaction. Understanding them is essential to deciphering how the universe conveys information, organizes matter, and maintains coherence across scales. The section opens with a sweeping visual of the ocean at dawn, waves rolling rhythmically toward the shore. Each crest and trough reflects energy in motion, a pattern repeated yet never identical. Mist hovers above the water, catching the soft light of a rising sun, while distant seabirds trace arcs through the morning sky. The narrator emphasizes, waves are the universe speaking in rhythm, a language that transcends scale, material, and medium. Every oscillation carries a story, a signal, a structure. The viewer is invited to consider that the patterns in these waves are not confined to water but are mirrored in air, light, sound, and matter itself. Waves are a universal syntax, a conduit through which the cosmos expresses its hidden laws. At the microscopic level, waves govern atomic and molecular interactions. Electrons exhibit wave-like behavior, spreading probabilities across space, while photons oscillate in electric and magnetic fields, transmitting energy across the void. Vibrations and molecular bonds determine chemical properties, resonance frequencies shape atomic interactions, and quantum waves encode probabilities in a language that is subtle yet profoundly ordered. Waves are both the vehicle and the syntax of these interactions, transmitting constraints, patterns, and possibilities. The narrative then shifts to sound and light waves, exploring their tangible and metaphysical implications. Sound transmits mechanical oscillations through air, enabling communication, perception, and resonance. Music itself is a structured wave pattern that elicits emotion, memory, and cognition. Light waves, spanning the electromagnetic spectrum, carry information across vast distances. Photons encode the chemical composition of stars, the motions of galaxies, and the structure of distant planets. Invisible wavelengths, ultraviolet, infrared, and radio, serve as messengers, revealing details of reality that our senses alone cannot perceive. Through waves, the universe communicates across scales that are beyond ordinary comprehension, demonstrating that perception is always limited yet deeply connected to the underlying structure of reality. Contrast framing is introduced to illustrate duality. Waves can be harmonious or chaotic, constructive or destructive. Tsunamis surge destructively, yet gentle waves shape coastlines, nurture ecosystems and sustain life. Light waves illuminate, yet gamma rays can destroy. Vibrations in molecules enable stability, but excessive oscillation can break bonds. The universe balances these dualities, using waves to sustain order while allowing transformation, creativity, and evolution. This duality is mirrored in human experience. Our emotions, our thoughts, our art and music are all waves of consciousness, oscillating between chaos and harmony, fear and beauty, repetition and innovation. The section explores resonance, a phenomenon where waves amplify each other when aligned in frequency. Resonance occurs in bridges, musical instruments, atoms, and even celestial bodies. It organizes energy, synchronizes systems, and produces emergent behavior. Planets can enter orbital resonances, stabilizing their paths for eons. Neurons synchronize through oscillations, enabling cognition and perception. The universe is inherently rhythmic, and resonance is the mechanism through which waves communicate coherence across scales. Standing waves emerge in instruments and strings, reinforcing energy in a pattern that is both predictable and aesthetically powerful. In this way, resonance is a cosmic tool, a bridge connecting the microscopic to the macroscopic, the mind to the cosmos. Gravitational waves are then introduced, ripples in the fabric of spacetime itself. Predicted by Einstein and first observed in 2015, these waves carry information about the most violent events in the cosmos, colliding black holes, neutron star mergers, and supernovae. Gravitational waves demonstrate that even spacetime is a medium for wave-like communication, transmitting energy and information across billions of light-years. They reveal the hidden motions of objects we cannot see, encoding history and dynamics in subtle oscillations. The universe, through these waves, whispers its deepest secrets, events so powerful and ancient that their echoes traverse the void to reach our instruments today. The interplay between waves and life is profound. Neural oscillations encode thought, perception, and consciousness. Heartbeats and breathing follow rhythmic patterns that sustain physiological balance. Circadian rhythms synchronize internal processes with environmental cycles. Life itself is a pattern of waves, oscillating, interacting, and resonating with both internal and external rhythms. By studying waves in biology, we see that living systems are tuned to the universe's vibrations, that our bodies and minds are part of a broader symphony of oscillation and resonance. Even communication between animals, whale songs, bird calls, insect vibrations, demonstrates an intricate interplay of wave-based signals, allowing information to propagate, alliances to form, and survival to be orchestrated. Visual metaphors emphasize universality. Ripples in a pond echo light diffraction patterns. Spiral galaxies mirror oceanic vortices. Sound waves overlap with electromagnetic oscillations. Molecular vibrations mirror planetary orbits. Across scales and phenomena, waves serve as carriers, mediators, and translators of the universe's hidden language. These waves, while appearing distinct in each medium, obey underlying principles, connecting matter, energy, and information across time and space. In observing them, humans glimpse the subtle patterns of order that govern the cosmos. The section also contemplates philosophical dimensions. Waves blur distinctions between matter and energy, cause and effect, sender and receiver. Reality emerges as a dynamic interplay of oscillations, vibrations, and feedback loops. The universe is not static. It is alive with motion, pulsing with rhythm, and communicating through subtle signals that interconnect all things. By perceiving waves, humans are able to bridge the gap between the tangible and the abstract, between empirical observation and existential reflection. Waves are the heartbeat of reality, reminding us that motion is fundamental, and that all existence vibrates with invisible but perceptible energy. Finally, the section culminates in a synthesis of the cosmic and personal. Waves not only structure the universe but shape consciousness. They link atoms to molecules, neurons to thoughts, rivers to planets, stars to galaxies. The narrator reflects, waves are the heartbeat of the cosmos, the medium through which energy, matter, and information converse. To perceive waves is to read the patterns that animate reality, to understand rhythm as the hidden grammar of existence, and to witness the universe in motion, vibrating with secret, enduring harmony. The audience is left with a sense of wonder, realizing that the same principles governing ocean tides also underlie thought, creativity, and the structure of the universe itself. Waves, in their universality and elegance, are the bridge connecting everything, the language through which reality communicates its deepest truths. Through this expanded exploration, We see waves not merely as physical phenomena, but as carriers of meaning, rhythm, and intelligence. They are the threads that tie together matter, energy, life, and consciousness, shaping the universe into a coherent, pulsating whole. Waves demonstrate that reality is not static or random but structured, dynamic, and profoundly interconnected, inviting humans to listen, observe, and participate in its silent symphony. Emergence is the phenomenon by which complex structures, behaviors, and properties arise from the interaction of simpler components. It is the universe's method of transforming basic rules into astonishing complexity, of converting energy, matter, and information into life, consciousness, and the intricate patterns we observe in nature. Emergent phenomena cannot always be predicted by examining individual parts. They arise from relationships, interactions, and feedback loops, revealing a layer of order and creativity that exists beyond simple causality. Understanding emergence is key to decoding the universe's secret language, where simplicity gives birth to astonishing richness. The section opens with a visualization of a murmuration of starlings swirling across the sky, each bird following simple behavioral rules, yet collectively creating dynamic, ever-changing patterns. The narrator observes, emergence is the universe composing a symphony from simple notes. Each part follows its own logic, yet together they produce complexity, beauty, and function that could not have been predicted by the individual elements alone. This principle resonates across systems, from molecules forming life to neurons generating consciousness, from galaxies clustering to economies evolving. At the microscopic level, emergence is evident in chemical and physical systems. Molecules interact to form crystals, membranes, and polymers with properties that individual atoms do not possess. Water exhibits surface tension, capillarity, and phase transitions, behaviors that cannot be attributed solely to single H2O molecules. Similarly, proteins fold into intricate three-dimensional structures, enabling catalysis and life-sustaining functions. Emergence demonstrates that the universe can produce phenomena that are qualitatively new, arising from the simple interactions of basic components. These emergent properties are often surprising, revealing behaviors and structures that are not apparent when observing components in isolation. The narrative expands to biology. Life itself is an emergent property. Cells, following chemical and physical laws, organize into tissues, organs, and organisms. Populations interact within ecosystems, generating stability, adaptation, and evolutionary innovation. Consider a forest ecosystem. The interactions between plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms create a network of interdependence that cannot be deduced by examining a single species alone. Soil nutrients cycle, predators regulate prey populations, and symbiotic relationships flourish. The system as a whole exhibits intelligence, resilience, and function that emerges from countless simple interactions. Consciousness, as explored in earlier sections, emerges from networks of neurons oscillating in synchronized patterns. The collective firing of millions of neurons gives rise to thought, perception, and self-awareness, phenomena impossible to predict by observing a single neuron. Contrast framing highlights the tension inherent in emergence. While it produces beauty, functionality, and coherence, it can also generate instability, unpredictability, and chaos. Sudden shifts in ecosystems, market collapses, and neural disorders all illustrate the darker side of emergent phenomena. Yet these disruptions are part of the same principle, the capacity for systems to self-organize, adapt, and evolve. Emergence is both creative and dangerous, generative and fragile. A single alteration in initial conditions can cascade into massive systemic changes, demonstrating that while emergent structures appear stable, they are often poised on the edge of unpredictability. The section examines mathematical and physical frameworks for understanding emergence. Nonlinear dynamics, complex systems theory, and network analysis provide insight into how local interactions produce global patterns. Feedback loops amplify small variations into large-scale structures, attractors guide system behavior, and critical thresholds mark transitions to new organizational states. Emergence is a language of relationships, where interactions produce properties and behaviors that could not exist in isolation. Cellular automata, such as Conway's game of life, illustrate how simple rules applied to grids of cells produce surprisingly complex, dynamic behaviors, a microcosm of emergent principles at work in the universe. The narrative also explores human cognition and society. Ideas, technologies, and cultural norms are emergent phenomena, arising from interactions among individuals, communities, and environments. Innovations spread, behaviors evolve, and knowledge accumulates in ways that cannot be reduced to single actions or decisions. The development of language is an example. No individual designed its entire structure, yet through countless interactions, it evolved into a complex system capable of expressing abstract thought, emotion, and culture. Emergence is the mechanism through which novelty arises, creativity unfolds, and civilizations develop. Humanity itself is both a product and a participant in emergent processes, reflecting the universe's capacity to organize and innovate. The section expands to cosmological examples. Galaxies cluster along the cosmic web not due to a central plan, but because of gravitational interactions, dark matter scaffolding, and initial density fluctuations in the early universe. The large-scale structure of the cosmos, filaments, voids, and superclusters, emerges from these simple rules, producing complexity and pattern that could not have been predicted by examining individual particles alone. Even planetary systems emerge through similar principles. The interplay of gravity, angular momentum, and collisions among planetesimals generates orbital patterns, resonances, and configurations that were not imposed but naturally arose from interaction. Emergence is cosmic in scope, shaping reality from the smallest to the largest scales. Emergence also governs ecological and social systems. Consider the behavior of ant colonies. No single ant plans the colony's expansion, foraging, or defense, yet the collective behavior achieves efficiency, adaptation, and survival. Similarly, traffic patterns, flocking birds, and schooling fish exemplify how local decision-making produces globally coherent and adaptive behavior. These examples illustrate that emergent phenomena do not require centralized control. Intelligence and functionality can arise spontaneously from local interactions. Visual metaphors reinforce the universality of emergence. Flocks of birds, swarms of insects, branching trees, flowing rivers, neural networks, and spiral galaxies all arise from local interactions producing global complexity. Patterns emerge, feedback amplifies, and order unfolds from apparent randomness. The universe speaks through these phenomena, encoding principles of organization, adaptation, and creativity into structures that captivate, sustain, and inspire. Even in artificial systems like computer simulations of weather, neural networks, or urban planning, emergence is evident, complex behavior arising from the iterative interplay of simple rules. The narrative then explores the interplay between emergence and predictability. While emergent systems follow underlying rules, the outcomes are often novel, adaptive, and surprising. Weather systems, for instance, are emergent. They follow physical laws, yet small changes in initial conditions can produce vastly different outcomes. Similarly, consciousness and cognition emerge from neuronal networks that obey biological and chemical laws, yet the subjective experience cannot be fully predicted from the behavior of individual neurons. Emergence allows the universe to be both ordered and creative, stable yet dynamic. Finally, the section contemplates philosophical implications. Emergence suggests that the universe is not merely a sum of parts, but a dynamic interplay of relationships and interactions capable of producing novelty, complexity, and consciousness. It reveals a creative principle embedded in the fabric of reality, one that allows the cosmos to generate complexity without external direction. The narrator leaves the audience with a resonant thought. Emergence is the universe's art of creation, where simplicity births complexity, local rules generate global patterns, and interactions give rise to properties that transcend their components. To understand emergence is to witness the universe inventing itself, a secret language of relationships, rhythms, and infinite possibility. It is here, in the interplay of the simple and the complex, that the universe reveals its most profound mysteries, inviting us to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, and the infinite potential in the patterns of interaction all around us. The universe, in its vastness, complexity, and subtlety, can be seen as a grand, interconnected system, a living tapestry of relationships, rhythms, and patterns. Every particle, every wave, every oscillation participates in an ongoing dialogue that spans scales from the subatomic to the cosmological. Section 20 serves as the culmination of the documentary, synthesizing all preceding ideas: information, chaos, waves, frequencies, patterns, emergence, symmetry, and consciousness, into a coherent vision of the universe as a dynamic, intelligent system communicating through a hidden, universal language. To perceive this language is to glimpse the profound structure of reality, to understand that nothing exists in isolation, and that every phenomenon is part of a vast network of relationships that shape existence itself. The section opens with an expansive visual journey, moving seamlessly from the cosmic to the microscopic. Galaxies spin in elegant arcs, nebulae glow with interstellar gas, stars pulse and explode, rivers wind through fertile valleys, forests branch into fractal canopies, neurons fire within human brains, and DNA coils in intricate helices. The narrator sets the stage. From the tiniest oscillations to the largest cosmic waves, the universe is an orchestra of patterns, frequencies, and interactions. Each element contributes to a story, a language written in energy, matter, and consciousness, revealing the hidden grammar of reality. This opening sequence establishes the scale, scope, and ambition of the synthesis, showing that the same principles operate across all levels of existence. At its core, the universe communicates through information. Subatomic particles exchange signals, encoding probabilities and interactions. Photons carry messages across billions of light years, conveying the composition, motion, and history of distant stars and galaxies. Neurons transmit signals through complex networks, enabling thought, memory, and perception. Information is both medium and message. It structures matter, channels energy, and conveys the rules that govern interactions at every scale. Without information, waves would be meaningless, frequencies would be silent, and patterns would dissolve into chaos. Chaos and order intertwine to give rise to the dynamic beauty of existence. Chaotic processes generate novelty, uncertainty, and diversity, while order ensures stability, coherence, and sustainability. Planetary orbits maintain a delicate balance between gravitational perturbations and rotational forces. Atmospheric currents, ocean tides, and biological rhythms operate in tension between predictability and turbulence. The universe thrives in the balance. Too much order and systems stagnate, too much chaos and structures collapse. The narrator emphasizes, chaos and order are not opposites. They are complementary forces shaping the rhythm, structure, and evolution of reality. Consciousness emerges as both observer and participant in this cosmic dialogue. Human awareness, like that of other complex life forms, is an expression of universal patterns. The brain, a network of neurons, encodes information and recognizes patterns, translating vibrations, frequencies, and interactions into perception and understanding. Through consciousness, the universe becomes aware of itself, reflecting on its own structures, cycles, and processes. Art, science, mathematics, and philosophy are human expressions of this emergent awareness, a way of interpreting the hidden language that underlies reality. Waves and frequencies operate as the universe's medium of communication. Vibrations ripple through matter, energy, and space-time, encoding information, synchronizing systems, and transmitting structure. From the oscillations of atoms and molecules to gravitational waves spanning light years, each frequency contributes to the overall coherence of the cosmos. Resonance amplifies patterns, organizes energy, and enables complex systems to function harmoniously. The narrator observes, each wave, each oscillation, is a note in the universal symphony. Together, they compose the rhythms that give form and function to reality. Patterns and symmetry provide the framework for coherence. Fractals, self-similarity, and repeating motifs occur at every scale, linking subatomic structures to planetary orbits to galactic formations. Symmetry ensures balance and stability, while asymmetry introduces variation and innovation. Patterns organize energy and matter into functional structures, allow systems to evolve, and make the universe intelligible to those who observe. Emergent phenomena, arising from interactions among components, generate novelty, complexity, and life itself. The universe is constantly inventing, reshaping, and organizing itself through these intertwined principles. Contrast and tension are central to this cosmic narrative. Microcosmic and macrocosmic phenomena mirror each other. Electrons orbit nuclei like planets around stars. Neurons fire in patterns resembling the clustering of galaxies. Oscillations in matter resonate with cosmic vibrations. Disorder and unpredictability coexist with coherence and order, producing a universe that is at once stable, dynamic, mysterious, and intelligible. The narrator emphasizes, the universe is a dialogue of contrasts, stability and chaos, order and novelty, simplicity and complexity, each shaping the other in an eternal interplay. The narrative then explores human-scale manifestations of these cosmic principles. Societies, cultures, and technologies are emergent networks, arising from countless interactions among individuals. Ideas propagate, knowledge accumulates, and civilizations evolve, reflecting the same principles that govern stars, ecosystems, and atomic structures. Human consciousness and creativity are part of the universal language, interpreting, amplifying, and contributing to patterns and rhythms that stretch across scales. In this sense, We are both participants and interpreters, co-authors in the ongoing narrative of the cosmos. Visual metaphors reinforce interconnectedness. Rivers feeding oceans echo neural networks, spiral galaxies mirror snail shells, branching trees reflect fractal rivers, oscillations in atoms mirror tidal movements. Energy, matter, information, and consciousness are interwoven in a living, dynamic web. Waves transmit signals, frequencies encode information, patterns organize systems, and emergent phenomena arise spontaneously from interaction. The universe communicates through these principles, offering those who observe and perceive the opportunity to understand its hidden grammar. Philosophical reflection concludes the section. The universe is intelligible, dynamic, and alive with information and interaction. Its laws, rhythms, and patterns are not arbitrary. They form a coherent, emergent, and evolving structure that supports life, consciousness, and creativity. Humans, by observing, learning, and participating, become collaborators in this cosmic dialogue. By perceiving waves, frequencies, symmetries, patterns, and emergent behaviors, we read the universe's language, decode its principles, and glimpse the profound intelligence embedded within reality. The narrator closes with a resonant thought. The universe is a living manuscript, written in waves, oscillations, patterns, and emergent structures. It speaks through matter, energy, and consciousness, inviting us to listen, to observe, and to participate. To read it is to witness creation itself, to understand the hidden connections that bind all existence, and to recognize that we are not mere spectators, but co-creators in the unfolding story of reality. The secret language is all around us, subtle, profound, and beautiful, waiting to be perceived, understood, and cherished.